Hello again, and welcome to my creative African cooking channel, Ndudu by Fafa. Thank you again for grabbing your seat, yes, and watching this, because this recipe flavors absolutely. Now, if you watched my previous video, I did mention zumi, which is the popular spiced palm oil. A must try, may I say. It's creamy, is the best of the best when it comes to palm oil. Absolutely, you need to try it. And that's going to be my main ingredient for my recipe today. And then guess what? There's chicken. What? I know, right? Let's start. So for this recipe, I'm using drumsticks, and I've taken the skin off and also the, tip away. And I'll be using the remnants, or the collection of tips or remnants or whatever. Yes, I'll be using it for my chicken stock later anyway. So I've got my washed drumsticks that, they've got some hips be cry, and I'm just grating the zest of one lemon, and also I'll be using the juice of the lemon. Because this is going to break the fibers of the chicken, and it's just going to make this meat moist and just so. Next thing is I'm adding my pièce de résistance, which is my zumi, which is nice and creamy. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have used maybe olive oil, but why not the palm oil? And I think this is definitely inspired by the Togolese palm oil grilled chicken, definitely. So with that, I'm adding my ginger. So I think it's about 2 tablespoonfuls of fresh ginger to it. Now, if you watch my previous video on how I made my suya, the quick suya recipe, I did make this amazing rosemary infused suya spice mix. I'd leave a link in the description box below so you could watch as to how I created that. It's so easy, bish bash bosh. Now, of course, I'm adding my salt to taste. And I think this is ready for me to then, rub it all in and mix everything together till it's well combined. And I'll marinate this for about an hour. So I will cover it with a cling film and reserve it whilst I move on to my next step. My next step is to intensify the natural flavors of my red peppers, habanero chilies, and ginger. So you can see this is going to be spicy, absolutely. I have preheated my oven to 180 degrees. And here I've got my red onion that I've placed in my foil. And I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over it because I'm going to be baking all of this together just to intensify the natural flavors of the dish. Now, after about 20 minutes, I end up with this beauty. And I like the fact that it has this sort of charred look. But yeah, I've added my dried shrimp. Yes, absolutely, because this is where I'm intensifying the flavor. And I am going to blend all of this together until I get that rough consistency. But, just so. This is not any other food. This is Ndudu by Fafa. It's such a simple recipe, and I'll tell you what, it's packed with flavors. These are ingredients that are readily available to you, whether you're in Ghana or in the diaspora, and it's a must try, most definitely. I think at this point I have achieved the consistency that I do require for my red pepper mixture. Now I've placed my clay pot on a medium heat, and to that I'm adding my zumi. I'm not going to allow this to fry because the zumi's flavor is essential. I need that to permeate through my stew. And so quickly, I'm just going to add my blended red pepper mixture, which of course has the dried shrimps, the habanero chili, red peppers, and ginger. And that is just packed with natural flavors. And you can see I'm trying to get rid of as much as I can from the blender. Don't worry, I'm going to rinse it because of course there isn't any waste, but I'm also going to use some of the residue to marinate my chicken, which will be coming up soon. So of course I need to mix this until it's well combined, as I always say. Now let's move on to the chicken. So using the same clay bowl that I used in baking the red peppers, I'm transferring my marinated chicken and zumi with my rosemary infused Suya spice mix to the clay bowl. Now the next thing is I'm going to add the residue of my pepper sauce, the red pepper sauce that I mentioned earlier. And now I've preheated the oven to 180 degrees and I'm going to allow this to, bake nicely for about 25 to 30 minutes whilst the stew also cooks gently on that medium to low heat. So I'm adding my salt to taste, and of course I'm going to mix everything together till it's well combined, and this is just going to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes whilst I tackle the roasted red onion. You can use any onion of your choosing, and by the way, if you don't want to roast your onions, you are free to do so, but I like this. When I roasted it, it intensified the flavor of the onion, and that just added that extra flavor to the stew because, of course, I only use natural ingredients for my recipes. Now, of course, I'm taking the skin off the onion to reveal the beautiful, soft, and, flavor-packed baked onion, may I say. Don't worry about the skin because, of course, I'm going to be using that in making my stock as well for another recipe. So, yes, it looks like it's actually, absorbing some of the stock. Don't you worry about it. It's fine. So, I've blended the onion. Of course, there was a residue of the red pepper in the blender. So, hence, it's got that tinge of that sort of reddish color in there. But I've blended that and I've added it to my mixture, and I'm going to rinse the blender. So any residue that's in the blender, I'm just going to be adding that to this. And now I'm just going to slow cook this on that medium to low heat to allow the flavors to intensify, as I always say. So at this point, I was thinking, which came first, the eggs or the chicken? Let me solve that riddle in my clay pot, I guess. So I've got some eggs, and to that I've added some salt, and I'm going to bring that to the boil. Because initially when I was making the stew, I was just going to make the stew on its own as a standalone stew, and then do the chicken also separately. But I was like, I might as well combine it. So I didn't have enough chicken, so of course I've just boiled some eggs, and I'm just going to be adding that to it. Now, at this point, this has been bubbling for about 10 to 12 minutes. And, you need to be careful because you can see it's spitting everywhere. So you need to cover it on sideways so that, you don't actually end up with a dirty oven. But in the likelihood that you do, you can clean it quickly, and that's fine. So my chicken is ready. That's just baked beautifully, as you can see. And now I'm adding it to my stew. So the chicken has been infused, of course, with the zumi as well as the suya, which is infused with rosemary. So I don't need to add anything anymore. But what I do need is for the chicken to add its flavor to the stew and to also absorb the flavor of the stew. So this is like a marriage in the pot, in that Ndudu by Fafa's cooking pot. Did I just make that up? Maybe, maybe not. But making sure that I'm grabbing every residue, anything out of that clay bowl into the stew. Now I hope you're inspired to click the subscribe button if you haven't done so at this point, and the notification button so you do not miss videos like this. If this is your first time, you're welcome, and thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you very much so. So I'm going to simmer this for another 15 to 20 minutes. Now when the oil starts settling on the surface of your stew, you know that your stew is almost done. Absolutely. And the amount of oil that settles at the surface depends on the amount of oil, of course, that you initially used. So at this point, I have peeled the shells of my eggs, and I'm just going to add my eggs to it. And this would allow the eggs as well to absorb the flavor of the stew. You see, this is not any other food. This is Ndudu by Fafa. And the taste of the zumi with the dried shrimp, with the ginger, the red pepper. I mean, seriously, this is a must try. It's so golden, it's so luscious, it's just silky, and it's just so Ndudu by Fafa. This is undoubtedly the best stew ever. This is inspired by the Nigerian Buka stew because they use the palm oil, but they bleach the palm oil, absolutely. And then the grilled chicken with the palm oil is a Togolese inspired recipe as well. And of course, done with my Ghanaian fingers. Yeah, so it's a West African, love potion in a pot. Of course, it's in Dubai Fafa. Of course, it was going to rain onions. And yeah, apart from that extra flavor that he adds, it makes it all colorful, doesn't it? Yes, absolutely. And then guess what? I'm just going to sprinkle it with a little bit of my spring onions as well. And I think my dish is truly Ndudufied. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. 2019. Hey! Now, do leave your comments below. I would like to read us what you think about this stew. Would you try it? Yes. Now I've got a surprise for you. So you know the Christmas cake that I made? Yes. And I did say I needed to feed it each week because this is going to be representing on my Christmas table this year. So I've got my whiskey and I love it. And I'm just going to, scoop the whiskey and pour it over my Christmas cake. This would allow the Christmas cake to be moist and also, it preserves it as well. So it's going to be a boozy affair. It's just going to be incredible, like really incredible. Remember, it's got the ginger, the mixed fruits, and yes. Now, I'd leave a link in the description box below, and I will repeat this process once every week until Christmas Day. So if you've made your Christmas cake, please do not forget to do so. Get a good quality brandy or whiskey and just follow what I'm doing here. So you've got a bonus recipe now. Anyway, so back to my stew, because guess what? I served it with the amazing Ghanaian brown rice. Now that's a recipe I'd have to share next with you guys. Naturally, I'd leave the list of ingredients and measurements on my blog in ndudubyfafa.blogspot.com, so do check it out. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat as Ndudu by Fafa for live updates. Definitely do follow me there. And Noel, thank you very much for my theme song. You're amazing. And guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, beautiful people, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's the 1st of December. Let's rock.